Okay. If I can, I'll start the meeting now. I'd like to welcome all residents, those of you here and those watching on YouTube. I'd also like to welcome Jill Merry, who's the clerk at Hanslope and is covering for Steve, who's at home, just recuperating after a hospital procedure last Friday. He's hoping to be back in action at the end of the week. But he does tell us that he'll be watching us on YouTube and we had better behave ourselves. Now, can I just check, has everyone introduced themselves to Jill? Do you know?
Well,
or would you like everyone just to run just very quickly, just run around here? No,
It's a Darren.
Yeah. Yes, thank you.
Yeah, welcome.
Fairly obviously one cake.
It's okay.
Russell.
Okay, thanks, Jill.
Now, for this evening's meeting, there are just 4 planning matters. 2 relate to trees in the conservation area, 1 pollarding at 6 South Street and 1 to fell a diseased tree at Castle Lodge. There's 1 retrospective variation of permission concerning the colour of roof tiles at 38 Shepperton Close, which you may remember was extensively discussed at our last meeting. And finally, there's a discharge of planning conditions at 11 School Lane. There aren't many resolutions tonight. We are going to consider if anyone's got any further ideas about events for the King's Coronation and whether they need supporting by Parish Council. There are 2 resolutions associated with the appointment of a new clerk because Steve has indicated that he's going to be stepping down at next month. There are 2 resolutions concerning the Clubhouse project organisation. There's a second one which is to do with the Parish Poll.
So I do apologise. Yeah.
Right. Which is listed on the agenda for an associated parish poll, but actually we haven't had the further information from Milton Keynes Council, surprise, surprise, so we'll have to defer that. There's a request to support the Great British Spring Clean, and another asking us to write to an RMP in support of provision of renewable energy to local communities. There are 2 purchases. One is for some new publishing software for Castlethorpe News, and 1 for a possible floodgate to be purchased on behalf of the MKCC and reimbursed to us, but we actually haven't had a chance to really progress that, so we'll have to defer that. So without prejudicing the discussion, because the one predictable thing is that I'm always wrong whenever I predict things, but it should be a fairly straightforward and short meeting this evening. So we'll start as usual with our open forum. Are there any matters that Tony or Kevin you would like to raise?
So I'm trying to get Cosgrove, trying to get the road up to the nav of the potholes building, which seems to be mission impossible. Apparently it's my street. Have a habit of coming out, looking, and monitoring them and going away again. But if you're going to send somebody out, fill them up, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
This is happening a lot. I'm going to have another go next few days.
Thanks. Yeah.
Because they are poor.
This is Northants, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's on the other side of the toe.
Yeah.
Can I start on that? Is it the same criteria in Northamptonshire as the Milton Keynes?
No.
When they get to a certain depth, they've got to.
I think
You got it.
Yeah, they are. It's depth. It's the size of the hole basically, as to whether they'll come up and do it.
You want to go down the I-Mod,
Yeah, it's not even one of the house is terrible.
Absolutely. But then aren't they closing the road?
But, yeah, they are. Rather than going too far on this, can we just say Tony's raising that, and that's absolutely great. Is that on this topic?
Not on this
Okay.
one, but.
Right. Okay.
I just wanted to say that the parish Castlethorpe News is out now, and
Yes.
I think it might be an idea to thank whoever's taken it on, because obviously Russell did a wonderful job, but the people also are doing a wonderful job. It's full of stuff. And,
It is.
well
Yeah.
done.
I'm actually-
To the biggest ever issue.
Yeah.
Yes, I did.
I only ever managed 20 pages, there's 24.
Yeah.
So I met a lot.
So this is
Yeah, there are.
Yeah.
this is a lady called Ro Wade,
Yeah.
who's taken this.
So, Ro, if you're watching, well done. Thank you.
Yeah, seconded.
Very good.
Sorry,
And yes,
they've been delivered. I don't know if we.
Ro brought
I've got
mine round this afternoon,
Okay.
so she probably is in the process
Yeah.
of delivering to the deliverers. Okay, anything else, Kevin?
I just want to say it's great to see that they have repaired the wall at last,
Yeah, yes.
where it had fallen apart. But that's really great, and obviously our thanks to them. But the next question is, are they going to do the other repairs, the photographs I've sent you, before they fall through as well?
There are a lot of holes in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll make a note to. Make a note. Where am I going to make a note? Can I have a sheet of paper, please? Because I need to formally sign these. Scribble all over them. Yeah, I mean, my contact at Carrington Estates, who did actually authorise it, and who I was chasing since you sent me the very first email several months ago. I mean, he did actually come out and supervise the builder doing the repair.
Yeah, that's great.
So what I'll do is I'll ask him if there is further work vis-a-vis the photographs that you sent through. I mean, if you wanted to send some fresh photos of the areas that you think need attention to me, I will forward those on, Kevin. That would be appreciated. Yeah.
Code's gone then.
Yeah, they've gone, yeah.
They all
Oh, they have.
Yeah,
didn't even notice how
yeah,
they.
there's
I
some.
know they were there yesterday, but then,
Yeah.
because I thought, when are they ever going to go?
No, they are.
Hanging on tomorrow and crossing it.
That's good.
Okay. Anything else? Russell?
Yes, there are two road closures which are flagged up on Facebook for identifications on the website.
Yeah. Yes, thank you very much. I actually saw those.
Station
Yeah,
Road,
both
Station
Giga Clear
Road,
and Run It.
both being closed.
And Giga Clear do say that with this batch of work, which they actually said was going into April, then all premises in Castlethorpe would be enabled to take their service. I have to say, my property still isn't, but anyway, it doesn't particularly upset me.
They don't coincide, do they? They're showing William and certain station.
And I noticed they've also put in some new tarmac in the village centre out there.
Yes.
I'm not quite sure what they did. Yeah, but hopefully it will fade down, but I think that's probably the best we're going to get. Right. Anything else on open forum? Otherwise, we'll go into the meeting itself. Okay, we'll start the meeting then. Apologies for absence from Councillor Hines, Dave Hines. He had prior commitment. And is that the rest of us? 1, 2, 3, 4.
Steve, only Steve.
Well, Steve is,
Yeah.
is not a councillor. Are there any declarations of interest?
Yes, 5.1, it's my next door neighbour location.
Right, okay, 5.1. Any other declarations of interest? Do you need to declare one in the RFO report for the publishing software, or is that not going to you?
No, it's not not at the moment.
It's not, okay, that's great.
Oh, which one's the software?
Yeah,
That's the printing.
Right, okay, indeed, yes, you're quite right. Thank you. Right, so in that case, I think we will move to the minutes of the last meeting. Can I just can I check if there are any matters of factual accuracy in the minutes of the last meeting?
That's good to know.
Okay, in that case, can I have a proposer, which is Russell, and the seconder, which is John? You just speak, you Kay, just speak you. And all in favour, yeah?
Yes,
I'll sign it on there. So receive reports. So let's move on to the March report. And there's quite a few little bits and pieces in here. So in this section 1 to 17, Are there any points that councillors would like to raise? Otherwise, I'll just go through and pick out a few.
Well, just number one, about the mower. Are we going to, who's going to go and get the quote? And who's going to do the quote? Or get the quote?
Well, Steve has said that he will do it because he's written on the side here. This needs to be prioritised, but this is more a note to self. So I think he's going to go and get those quotes in. No doubt he'll talk to you about it.
I hope so.
Any other? George?
Or if you see the article in Castlethorpe News, the preschool planning to reopen in September.
Yes, I did speak to Ro very briefly about this when she came round with her with the Castlethorpe News. They are hoping to open the preschool in September. She is asking that we put the word around for any parents who wish to put their children into preschool. There are 4 parents who are looking to run this. 2 of them, their children will actually be going up to school, so it's just 2 that are left in there. But they are trying very hard to do this for the good of the village. So if parents would like to consider, or if they've got use for preschool, that would be appreciated by them. They are hoping to open in September. They do need to get a manager for it. Shenley Church End are helping them, but it sounds as if they're not actually going to run it for them. There's a little bit of a development there. Anything else?
Sorry, just on number 7, that's the entire village, is it?
No, it was, well, actually, yes, I did ask him whether the entire village could be designated as a 20-mile-an-hour area. And he said, he just responded that, but if not, then Thrupp Close, which was all tied up with the clubhouse. Though I have to say that the speed recording that we did there, I mean, speeds are less than 20 miles an hour.
Can we get Wellington End in there?
Yeah, yes, of course.
It'd be nice if that was 20. Not that anybody buys it.
I mean, yes, yeah, we will have to see what he says.
Number 6, please, Chairman.
Number 6,
Robbie's Field. Some of that does come in the historic, but I can't remember which part of it.
it's the northwest corner where those trees are already.
It's called, yes.
Which is part of the Scheduled Ancient Monument. We have to avoid those. And the concern was that putting new trees in too close to them might actually impinge on the Scheduled Ancient Monument itself. So Steve has got an action just to pursue that and just clarify. The onus of GOB is, as I suppose, out of an abundance of caution, just want an assurance from Historic England that it's not going to, that they can go ahead and plant the trees, even though they are going to be quite a way away. Anything else? All right, I'll just very quickly.
15, you've got a comment on that, Chair?
15, yeah, I will mention this. For some years now, in fact, the last contact I had with Milton Keynes Council was 5 years ago. Almost. It was 5. We've been looking to see if it would be possible to get some more land to expand the shop, particularly for storage. There was an issue. Well, basically, we are looking to acquire the garden area in front. And with my other hat on as part of the, well, actually, it's with both hats. It's both as being member of CVSA, director of CVSA, and also as chairman of the parish council. I have written to Milton Keynes Council Housing to see if they would be prepared to transfer it to us. And the reason I say as chair of the parish council why it's relevant on here is that actually the land for the shop was transferred to the parish council, not to CVSA. And actually CVSA pay a small ground rent to the parish council for that. Of course, because 5 years have gone past, the person that was dealing with this at Milton Keynes Council has left. I have asked Kay Pettit who tends to be parish's liaison, if she can point me at the right person. And actually, Ward Councillor Chris Wardell has offered to help once we do get engaged, because I think a little bit of weight would be useful if we are going to get that land. So that's basically what that item is about. Yes, number 17.
I've got 16. I've got 17.
Oh, well, 16 then, first of all, this is to do with the clubhouse design. There was a meeting, I think it was on the 16th of February, where a design was presented. Some changes were made to try and minimise any noise to residents in Thrupp Close. Basically, an entry door was turned away from them, and they were happy with that. And that is now with one of our volunteers who's doing the CAD and a product called Revit, which apparently produces 3D and views and elevations. And he's having to do this, of course, in his spare time. Everyone's doing it in their spare time. Where we have a project group meeting next Monday. And these are Zoom, and within that project group, there is the design group to whom the parish council delegated authority to sign off the design at our last meeting. So I'm hoping that will then get signed off. As soon as it's signed off, and assuming that Dan has managed to get the drawings and elevations done, we'll get them to you, Darren, so that you can get them to your father. And we'll try and get this planning application in as quickly as possible.
I did speak to him.
Did anybody consult Tom Inwood or not?
Well, what I did was, the only way I could get hold of, for obvious circumstance, I didn't want to come back to you at that time. But I picked him up on Facebook and sent him a Facebook message, but I haven't had any response. But I did try. I did
willing to come and talk, because I think you've got to be so careful on this, because it'll be an absolute disaster.
Well, I think you're right. We have had there's another gentleman who's run a leisure centre for a very long period of time, 17 years, I think, who said he will give us some comments. I've spoken to another gentleman who has got very long experience in catering, who's basically looked at the drawings and said, yes, he's very happy with them. What we will do, changes still can be made after it's been signed up, but it'd be under change control, and they may have to go in for what planning called non-material amendments for any minor things after that. But basically, I think these changes that Tom or anyone else may come up with are more likely to be interior fittings, which wouldn't really affect planning. So that's where that is. We met with a quantity surveyor, who again is doing this on a voluntary basis. So far we haven't had to pay for anything, and I really am very, very appreciative of the people who put their their effort into this. And I am going to particularly pick out Lawrence Chapman, who has done a huge amount of work on this. We've got Luke Jeffries, who is a construction project manager, and he's got a quantity surveyor who lives down in Cosgrove to come and have a look at this, and we're expecting his input, which should give us some costs. And then we'll know whether this is financially viable or not. Right, so that's 16. On 17, this is just really to capture a point. This is about the wheelie bin rollout for those of you who are watching on YouTube. And indeed, our residents here in the room. And following the discussion at last month's meeting, a resident wrote to the clerk just to draw attention to the fact that parts of the village have got what are called permitted development rights withdrawn. So normally you can make small changes to your property without having to go for planning permission. If something called, well, it's called Article 4 duration, that doesn't matter. But those permitted development rights can be withdrawn and have been in certain places. The two that were mentioned, and I mean, I know that Shepperton Close is one where development rights have been, permitted development rights have been withdrawn. We've had a number of cases there. The resident also said that Thrupp Phase 1 had permitted development rights removed as well. Now, the point of this is that the discussion at the last meeting mentioned constructing storage bins for the new wheelies when they came out to try and make it more attractive. And the resident was just pointing out that if you do that and you're in a permitted and you've had your permitted development rights withdrawn, you will actually need planning permission for it.
Even if it's a freestanding thing?
Yeah, I believe so.
Sort of made out of pallets or
Yeah,
something?
I believe so, yes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so there we go.
I presume that applies to the conservation area as well.
No, it doesn't. No, it only applies where permitted development rights. Most of the buildings in the conservation area still do have permitted development rights.
How do we find out whether?
You've just gone to Milton Keynes website and see. I would have done it before this, but frankly, time was pressing really. Right, and the only other thing I would mention here is that the famous monkey puzzle tree on the triangle, they found it difficult to sort it, and I'm sure Ian and others will be pleased to know that I have now asked him if he will install something called a home oak, which is the other one he offered, which is a European oak.
Yeah.
But there we go. Anything else from the clerk's report? Okay. In that case,
Do we need to comment on the building of wheelie bin and tanks then, because we'd obviously have to be supportive of that to get the thing done. Would we not?
no, someone would have to, if
They
someone
want
wanted to
to
put it
apply.
up, they would have to make the plan mention. It would then come to us and we would then decide on a case-by-case basis.
Okay,
This is all kicked up in Bradwell.
yeah, I know,
Not
that's
there.
why I'm asking the question.
Yeah.
Well, they tied them all together in the end, didn't they?
Yeah.
An argument.
Well, I just put ahead of the game, as they say.
Yeah. I might say I relayed the comments that were made at this meeting back to Penny Fletcher, who's the MKC officer, who was responsible for the rollout, and pointed out that there were a lot of residents here, as in not North Crawley. It was one of the villages over on that side who were very concerned about conservation areas and these wheelie bins being there and just spoiling the street scheme. And I said, you know, we're not very happy. And there was a stunning silence. Normally she replies very quickly, but when I pointed out we weren't happy with it, she decided to ignore me, which is a pretty standard MKC response. Right. Anything else that you want to raise? In that case, let's now move to Ward Councillor's report. George, is there anything you wish to report on?
Approach your response, like to be on screen. What?
Yeah, you can come over there and helps with the microphone.
Come round. First of all, Chair, may I offer the apologies of my colleagues. Chris Wardle is ill and Liam Andrews is on holiday. Right, they're not here. Some of you may have heard of the problems that certain people in villages are having with school placements. People who were hoping to get into Ousdale School and haven't, even though they thought they were in the catchment area. We've got 5 people affected in Stoke Goldington, but there is a concern that's been expressed by people across the villages, both in Olney Ward and Newport Leavenworth and Hanslet Ward, that this might be an increasing problem. One of the concerns is the fact that the MK East development, where they're putting in 5,000 new houses, there's supposed to be a new school coming in, but people will start occupying houses before the schools come online. and therefore that might put more pressure on equal payment schools.
I thought there was a school in White House.
Well, they're building a new school for MKE, but it hasn't been built yet.
Right. But I mean, there is East. East.
Yeah.
Yes.
So,
Yes. I think it's, yeah.
ward councillors in Olney and Newport Mills and Hanslope are getting together both to assist people who are affected this year and also to see what we can do to try and make sure that it doesn't get worse in the long run. I mean, we don't have any power.
Yes.
Because it is something that is arranged by the schools. But you know what influence we are able to exert, we will.
Okay.
The second thing is, and this is not a little thing, this is the don't know if you can see that on there, but it's basically in the next election, everybody is going to need voter identification. We're being asked by the council and by the electoral commission to try and persuade everybody, including parish councils, to use every opportunity between now and May to make sure that you tell people, so village magazines or anything. And I've got some leaflets here. If you're able to put these up on notice boards and things, but A3 and A4. I won't give you all of them, but as many notice boards as you've got.
We've got about 7 actually.
And whichever size you need.
Probably the smaller one on those on some of the other notice boards would be, well, it's actually Russell. Russell has already, while he's counting, has already publicised this on Facebook.
Yeah.
The
electoral commission estimate that 96% of the voting population already have one of the types of identification. If anyone doesn't have one, you can apply for a certificate from the council. It's very easy. I did it. Because I don't need one. I've got a driving license.
Driving license will do it. Right?
But yeah, but I just filled in the form and did it on the website. And you can do a paper form as well. And they send you a temporary certificate, which enables you to vote. So yeah, you can do it free for nothing.
Yes. I mean, I think the 96% is more likely to apply to the number of people who forget to take it with them to the polling station.
Yeah, if people forget to take it with them, they will get turned back and they'll have to go back.
Anyway, so clear message. Thank you very much for making that. Anything else?
No, that's it.
Well, thank you very much for that. That's very valuable, George.
Small ones.
Let's now. You'll put them. Will you put some up in here as well? In Russell.
I was going to do one-man station road.
Okay. Right. Let's move into section 5 then, and the planning applications.
I will recuse myself.
Right. Well, the rules haven't changed yet, so you can stay here, but just be quiet. I think it's sorry. We are going to have to change and bring ourselves in line with people actually leaving the room, unfortunately, but we haven't adopted that change yet, which will be at our main meeting, so Russell can stay comfortable. Right, pollarding in 6 South Street. It's to the previous pollard points. Anyone have any concerns about that? Yeah, no objection, no comment. 5.2 is now this is to do with it's a retrospective planning application to vary the condition about matching external materials on the roof tiles on the rear extension at 38 Shepperton. Now you'll remember that the applicant came along and basically said he couldn't find a matching material that would cope with the slope of the extension, and another neighbour or one of his neighbours disputed that and has placed an objection. We as the parish council, and again just to clarify on this, we did not support either side of the argument. We actually said that we didn't feel we were competent to make that judgment. And if that is the case, then it might be that under this 5.2, parish councillors would feel that they didn't wish to place any further discussion on this and leave it likewise to MKCC. Russell.
I have put in the folder under 5.2 pictures of two tiles which are what 36 already has and what 38 is planning to have. They're different make of tiles, although the colour the name of the colour is the same. The 36 who have already put in a retrospective planning application have got a Wiener burger and Tucson, and 38 is putting a Santon Tucson. I think because there are different makes, there may be a slight variation of colour between them and also design. So I would prefer myself personally if 38 had the same tiles as 36.
Okay. Do they have the same sort of moment?
They are.
They do.
Sorry.
Because they built these extensions, haven't they? And they tiled them.
36 has, I think, according to the planning application.
Yeah, both
According to the planning application, it said no, they haven't been finished.
Tiles on the roof.
My understanding was that they had.
Well, if they haven't, if not, I think it should be the same tile. If not, it's too late.
Well, this is a planning application only for number 38.
Yeah, but 36 has already.
That went through us.
Yeah, they've already finished.
36 is already finished.
According to yeah.
Okay. Well, in that case, can we? I think. Okay.
I was just going to say that if he's already got the roof on, I do feel that it would be a little bit petty to make him.
Yeah, I'm saying it hasn't.
Yeah.
It should. I think it should use the same tiles.
I mean, can we just get some expert information? If you look, they've actually put tiles on both. Yeah,
in a brown coloured tile.
Well, nearly every house in Shepperton, the tiles are weathered differently.
All right.
For a few years.
Shall we just write a comment then that if 38 has not yet been tiled, we would prefer the tile to match
36.
that at 36,
which is a Wiener burger.
Okay.
2020 tile.
I walked past at the weekend and it looked fine to me, but
Are they both tiled though? I haven't actually walked down
I
there.
thought they were.
Yeah, I thought.
I was telling you, it was going to be.
I couldn't tell. I looked in and they looked fine to me.
If they are already tiled, we're letting, we're not going to comment on
Yeah, that's fine.
it. Is everyone happy?
Very simple.
If 38 isn't tiled, then we would ask it to match 36. But as I say, we'd have to go down there, right? 5.3 and indeed 5.5, which is the same, is just a discharge of conditions, which we don't normally comment on. I mean, we're just noting that. What happened there? Yeah. And then 5.4 is the felling to a ground of a sycamore tree in Castlethorpe Lodge. I mean, they've been doing, you will remember that we considered some tree orders there a couple of months ago. In fact, we had a little bit of a mix-up because their application wasn't clear. But here it clearly is where there's a large scar and rot inside the base. I mean, does anyone want to comment?
It looks pretty bad actually from the pictures.
Yeah.
That's just like the terminology, fell into the ground instead of cut it down.
It's probably an arborological terminology. Okay. Are we all happy not to comment on that? Yeah. No comment. Right. Taking section 6 as a whole, these are previous planning applications. Does anyone want to comment on any of those? I mean, they're all in progress, basically.
So 11 South Street is still up. I think we're 11 South Street, isn't it?
No, that is Simon Hill's.
Yeah.
Residential. I have to say, I thought he would, oh, he has withdrawn it. Yes, he has withdrawn it.
Right.
Yeah. Sorry, it says status registered and then he's proceeded to put it in.
Oh, yes,
So it's withdrawn, so. And I mean, councillors will remember that the conservation officer wrote the most scathing report I think I've ever seen on a planning application. And so that's definitely was a big result. And fortunately, he also picked up one of the main points that we raised, which was that it left the Carrington Arms stranded in terms of parking.
It was pretty good actually, because that debate's been going on for 8 years now. And Martin's got everything that was said by us then in the report of Pauline.
Yeah.
He's got the lot in there.
Yeah, I don't know who's been queuing him up on this, John, but the council will express their gratitude.
What's
Right.
What was 6.4 when it said what it says, please?
This is just about the sustainable drainage strategy. I mean, it's where they're putting the drains out. And I did look at this when it came up as an application, and I think they're coming out onto Bullington End Road, I think. But there you go.
What's LLFA? Somebody's allowed to recommend approval of drainage plan.
Oh, it's the flood authority, and it stands for the local something or other.
Lead local.
Lead local authority. Right, can we move on then? To section 7, we have got one part 2 item, which for the benefit of residents is just about the progressing of the various complaints that we're making about MKC on Carrington Grove. And again, just to so residents are broadly aware of the issue there, we've been waiting for a response to a freedom of information request that Russell had put in, which arrived yesterday, I think it was, or over the weekend. So we actually haven't had a chance to really absorb it yet, but we haven't been able to progress this for the last few meetings because of the lack of response of MKCC. Right, so 7.1, I'll propose a public excluded part 2 to the meeting. And I have a seconder. All in favour? 7.2 is to consider arrangements for celebration of the King's Coronation. Now, one suggestion that was made, actually by Polly McGee, or Polly Lewis, she was, who is organising the afternoon tea on the Sunday, were we considering commemorative coins as we did for the Jubilee? And I'd like just to put that out as a discussion point. Plus, we could then move into if anyone's had any further thoughts on anything else that could be done. I don't think, and just addressing the residents, I don't think any other residents have come forward. There is there is a big help out on Monday, which a number of the ladies, including my wife and I think Kay's mother-in-law, are hoping to match up people who need jobs doing with people who can do them. Originally, which used services, but I think it's with youth club, but I think it's a bit broader than that now. But just coming back on this, commemorative coins. Would anyone like to comment on that?
For the children?
Children,
Yeah.
So they come in like little boxes.
Well, we'd have to have a look at it and see.
There'll be there people are doing them.
Yeah.
Before we have the children, we'll do
Yeah.
before them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not as enthusiastic as I was last year for the Jubilee coins, simply because we gave the children coins only a few months ago.
Yes.
But having said that, I suppose it is commemorative, and I'd certainly support it if that's what councillors felt.
It was months for,
Most of the Jubilee.
It was months for the Jubilee.
Oh, months.
Yeah.
Of course it was.
So coins would be.
So it could be fine. That's what
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, okay, yeah.
yeah,
Very good, yeah.
They cost between £5 and £10 each. Unless you go for a gold one, in which case it's about £100.
Yeah.
We'll have one.
chocolate gold coin.
Kids would love it.
How many mugs did we buy last time?
100 and something, wasn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, which then sold on.
Yeah, which
So
so Polly was supposed to send, I ordered two, and I think got them, so I don't know where they've got to.
Yeah.
Yeah, she has some at her house still.
I think, yeah. One.
Well, look, if we can come back to this, I mean, what I could propose, is that, we delegate this to Russell if he's willing to, plus we need at least another councillor, just to, investigate commemorative coins. And we approve, say up to it's £105, say £500 as a
Around the figure at the moment.
as a round figure at the moment, yeah. For that, I mean,
The Westminster Abbey commemorative coin is £4.95, but it's out of stock at the moment.
okay. Well, I think I think probably about the £5 mark is about the limit that we ought to really go for. Yes, I mean it's. So if there is something of that ilk that we could get.
What age of the corn, it's 16 or 18?
I think, should we have the same rules as we did last time? We'd have to dig them out and see what it was. 16 of them, yeah.
Yeah, what feedback did we have on during the Jubilee months? Were they well received? Did you get any comments saying thank you very much indeed, or
In a fashion.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm asking the question. We can spend £500 and ask ourselves.
Yeah. I think they were well received.
Okay, so they're well received. Appreciate it.
We could always ask people.
Well, I think, given that we're now at the beginning of March, it's basically 2 months away. If we're going to do this,
So who's going
Didn't
to
get
help
those
me
they
choose?
didn't want.
is anyone up for helping Russell?
Yeah, let's do some research.
Go on, Kate.
Yeah, so Kay and Russell and Steve will have to be involved as Clerk, so.
But we could ask people to order them rather than just give them out. And that way, we don't give them to people who are just going to put them down the sofa or down the back of the sofa and stuff like that, which some people won't appreciate.
I mean, in fairness, last time people had to register with Polly.
Yeah.
And
we did last
she only gave it to those that wanted it.
Yeah.
So, if we ask, Polly if she'll do that again, well, she's offered to do it again for us.
Okay.
So I will,
I'd be very happy with that approach, actually.
yeah.
Well, it just
Yeah.
saves weight.
Saves weight,
You could
yeah.
probably get 100 coins and 50 people take you up on it, so.
Yeah, oh, I think.
I mean, the only point I'd make is that given the timing that we're now at, we need to be late really.
I think we'd order them as soon as we
Yeah,
agree.
yeah, I think we'll just have to order. So we'll see what Polly did last time and we'll repeat that. Everyone, so I think I need to make a proposal. Yes, we are. So I'll propose it. I need a seconder who ought to be Russell, I guess. And it's,
Poking.
all in favour? Yeah. So I propose Russell seconded and all in favour. Any other thoughts on other events that could be done?
If it was is there not each day covered off now? I swear I saw something of a bit of a timeline in regards of the Saturday.
Yeah, Saturday is the coronation, Sunday is the afternoon tea, but it is the afternoon and
Street party type
Yeah.
thing.
yeah.
I think in house like you're doing a street party.
As far as I know, we're doing something on the wreck, but I've heard a rumour that there's a street party as well, but that hasn't come through us. But we are projecting the concert from Windsor, I think, isn't it? We've put the down payment on a big screen to project that on the wreck. So people are supposed to come and bring their own picnic and look at this thing on the screen.
I think that would, it'd be nice, but I mean, I do, well,
I like that idea personally, but hey, hey.
yeah, but would people actually come out? I mean, I'm thinking of the number, I mean,
Okay, that's
it just
fine.
depends on the weather.
Depends on the weather completely. If it's a lovely sunny day, they'll be out. If it's raining, they won't.
Yeah. I think we're a bit behind on this if we're going to do anything else.
I think the afternoon tea on the Sunday should be.
Yeah,
Is there anything on the Monday?
that's the big help out day.
Okay.
Yeah,
Community sort of thing, isn't it?
yeah. Okay, all right, we'll leave it there unless anyone else wants any more. Right, next, I'll 7.3 is to agree a membership of an interview panel for a new clerk. I think we've now advertised for the clerk. We ought to have a small interview panel. I say small in the sense that you can't really have, 7 of us plus Steve sitting around with some person who's coming along that's been overbearing. So I'd suggest 3. I mean, I'm happy for it to be Steve, Russell, and me, unless anyone else feels strongly they'd like to do it.
We will trust your thoughts.
You want to interview during the day as well, wouldn't you?
Yes.
Yeah, so
Yeah, I think so, probably.
that's.
I think anything beyond 3 is going to be overbearing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Are
you okay with that? Okay.
I'm looking more.
All right, so I'll propose that. We're all happy with that, yeah?
Yeah.
So that's Steve, Russell, and me will do the interview panel. While we're on that, I'll just skip ahead to 7.5, which is to get a mobile phone for the clerk. I mean, there are several reasons why I think a mobile phone would be suitable. First of all, they're probably cheaper now than actually having a landline. Secondly, they can be switched off when the clerk in voicemails are forced. Actually, they can also, we would have to get a phone as well. I think those are probably the main 2 points, actually, switched off. And they're mobile, you can take them around with you. And they may support other functions, such as seeing your emails and so on if they come in. Difficult to know, but I mean, normally, SIM only, I'm told by my grandson who's temporarily working at Curry's while he's waiting to go to university, that it's actually cheaper to buy your phone and then get a SIM only package rather than getting it bundled up.
He's absolutely correct.
Sorry?
He's absolutely correct.
Yeah, is it? Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I have to say that is what I did. So again, are we all supportive of that? And we just need obviously to choose the mobile phone. Though some phones actually have 2 dual SIMs in them, and which potentially would mean you wouldn't need a phone, but I think probably we should. And it will make the handover to a new clerk a lot easier if we can get that. Yeah, and start the migration while Steve is still in post. That was the other point I was going to say.
Yeah.
So long as it's not a Samsung S23 or an iPhone 13.
No, I mean, I think you can get a pretty good phone for about 300 quid. Yeah. So, can we let
The people doing the interview, we can do that.
Yeah, we can. Yeah, we can do that. Yeah. So, Steve Russell and we will do that, and we'll look for another cost of say £300.
I suspect you'll be
well within that. Yeah. Okay, very good. So I think probably need, because it's money, I think we probably need to propose a second as I'll propose. Okay, would you like to second this? You've been trying to second.
She's putting a finger up.
Woman knows her place.
She's putting a finger up to you, in other words.
She's been trying to second, but always come third. So.
Yeah, story of my life.
Right, moving back then to 7.4. if you've looked at this is basically a letter that we've received asking us to support, and it's called a net zero review. What it's actually about is allowing local communities who are generating renewable electricity to that electricity to be sold to the local community. As at the moment, I think it has to go into the grid or something. Anyway, I mean,
I would like to propose that we do write a letter to Ben Everett in support of it.
yeah,
Yeah, I think it's a very good idea.
I'm happy.
Yeah.
Yeah, all right, well done.
We could have, there's a place in Devon that runs on chicken poo. Right.
That must smell.
No, don't encourage it. That's
So
it.
These auto those things. gone
And
to the
there's
chicken.
also,
Yeah.
cow power is another form of.
Yes,
fine.
let's, can we move on? Ladies and gentlemen, please. Right, 7.6 was just that at the last meeting, we did approve a structure for the project organisation. Actually, things have moved on a bit with new volunteers coming forward. And I think because Parish Council approved the project board last time, we probably ought to approve it this time. So you can see there, Luke Jeffries is project manager, Lawrence and Dan McGee, who have been doing the design. Darren, because he's going to liaise with his father, who's going to be the architect on this. Ian Horn, who is doing the heating and plumbing, that's his expertise. David Spinelli, because this is the pavilion that we're pulling apart. Steve, because he's got to look after the finance and get the money raised, and me as the overall sponsor and liaising back here and reporting back on what's going on. We're all happy with that. It seems to be. There is a weekly Zoom meeting on that that's going on every Monday afternoon. So every Monday evening, and then there'll be a stakeholder group. We'll have just as we did on the 16th of February. We'll have occasional larger meetings so that we can just bring everybody else up to date who's interested. And Steve has got a distribution list for that. But Russell will also publish them on Facebook, so they're open meetings. Everyone okay with that?
Yep.
I propose that, and everyone's happy with it, right? Next one is 7.7. Russell, would you like just to take us through this?
Yeah, we at the moment use software called Affinity Publisher for Castlethorpe years. And when Ro took over, she took over using the same software, which was quite good because then I could help her with problems that she ran into. Since then, I've bought Affinity Publisher version 2, which is a big improvement on it. But the downside is that my Affinity version 1 now doesn't work. So I have to sort of explain to her what to do at the moment. For the price of £141.60, we can buy the whole Affinity suite, which is Publisher, Photo, which is for doing pictures, and Design, which is for designing adverts and stuff like that.
Is that for Ro?
Yeah, this would be for the editor of Castlethorpe News, because I've already got that suite.
Yeah.
This is a one-off until version 3 comes, as opposed to things like Adobe, where you have to pay £50 a month. So this basically pays for itself in 3 months, or Quiet Express, or InDesign and stuff like that. And it's as good as any of those. So I recommend it.
Okay. Any question? It's money, so it needs a seconder. So it's John.
Go for it.
Seconding.
The other thing about it is British software, maybe nothing as well.
Yeah. It's not Chinese.
China there.
Right. Right, 7.8. This is a floodgate. which Nick Hannon of MKCC has said if we buy it, they'll refund us. But I mean, that does mean us researching the floodgate and so on and so forth, which I
Who would fit it as a around game?
I think we would have it, get it fitted. But what we're going to do is we're going to get a full price for it. We're going to send it to them and say, just confirm that you're going to pay.
Yes, yes,
You know,
good idea.
Do we add on a handling fee like
19%.
19%?
Yeah, and that would be ironic, wouldn't it?
But so is that they getting flooded during heavy rain?
Yeah, yeah. The water just comes down, and they've put a new surface water drain in. They've cleared the drains. And if they clear the drains, it does actually stop it, but they can't just keep coming back and clearing them sort of.
Always used to, when it came up, used to run down the road.
Yeah, I mean, I have to say, Ian, it was, and the reason I feel moderately guilty about it is that when it ran on the old road, it did go down the surface water drain and didn't mount the pavement, the footway. Since we put that, the square in, the village centre in with the raised table, that's when the water now runs up on that, and of course it then goes onto the pavement and straight into her property. Right, so that's where we are there. 710, sorry, 7-9. We can't. We have to defer that because MKCC haven't come back to us. I mean, I even chased him a week ago.
Get that spool tape for you. MKCC haven't come back to us. MKCC.
I mean, they were hopeless. I mean, even you know that build out where it was all wiped out by your house.
Yeah,
you know. I mean, eventually I wrote to them and I said, you know, there's no signage at all, and what's worse is the lantern hasn't been put up next to it, and there's going to be a nasty accident. And didn't get any response. But then, first of all, I saw the signage, and then I did notice today when I was walking up to Ian's that the lantern was up.
It's not a light.
No, it's not lit.
It's not lit.
There's no light. But they only put one sign, which is coming into the village, and there was 2 vans there. But I swear it must have been about 3 hours. It was ridiculous. I kept looking out the window thinking, oh, they must be building something. When they decided that Friday afternoon they were leaving, there was just a new sign put out. So it was obviously for them to have their dinner and
Anyway, I'm sorry. I've been very guilty of doing the thing that I should have done, which is digressing. But MKCC does annoy me. Probably. Right. 7-10 is to. I mean, frankly, if they don't respond at all, then I will chase them periodically on this. You know, like at least once a month. But I mean, we're getting close to May now. Then we'll have to do an informal survey. But that is not what the parish council decided it wanted to do. Right, 7-10 is the Great British Spring Clean. And I think this is I don't know if you could publish something on Facebook, Russell, and see if there's any volunteers to sort of try and lead us on this. It's just a spring initiative to try and clean up the villages and so on. If someone would like to organise some of that, that would be very much appreciated.
Just swept to the road where they are.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, we have asked for
Do a
that
bit of
before.
reading on the pavement.
Yeah. No doubt we will be entering the best kept village later on this year. So this would be an early start to get the bit of the village outside your house tidied up. Right, and finally 7-11, Russell again.
Oh, yeah. Network Rail have must have the most noisy workers. Apologies, Darren. They must have the most noisy track workers in the world, because every time they come, they leave their engines of their vans running with the lights on. And there's a little flat opposite where we live, which every night has headlights illuminating going through its window. and noise. I'd been out and Sheila's been out at 3 o'clock in the morning to tell them to switch the engines off. And I've personally written a letter of complaint to Network Rail, who apologised for that incident and said they've spoken to the workers involved. But considering they have about 150,000 workers, most of the guys I've spoken to don't know that they don't seem to appreciate that houses mean people are living there and trying to sleep. So just individuals just complaining to them is totally pointless. I think an official letter from the parish council, preferably I would say to the head of Network Rail, complaining about it would be the way to go.
Chair, we also had a situation where Network Rail normally used to write to us if there was likely to be a lot of work going on.
They're still do.
Yeah, is that still?
Yeah.
Because I haven't known letter about.
I mean, I'm yes, if you reply to the letter saying, please would you ask your workmen to switch their engines off and not leave their lights on.
I didn't hear anything about it.
But
I do. I made a letter. I do.
the alternative to that is to find out where the boss of Network Rail
Well, I was going to suggest you follow Tom home and left your engine running, but you've got an electric car, so it wouldn't be like.
That's a diesel.
Anyway, are we all happy with that? That we write that into Network Rail? Okay, fine. Right, moving on then to financial matters section 8. The RFO payment schedule, which you should all have had. Just running very quickly through it. It's Steve's salary, the landscaping.
What I would like to know on what have they been landscaping in February?
No, it's just paid on a, well, actually Jill is the expert on it.
They take it over 11 months and divide it into 11 equal payments.
So that's fair enough. That's great.
We've got 2 people who clear bins and brush shelters for us. They get a little bit of money. Annual membership fees, some mileage for Jill, stationery, and some training courses that we went to. Deposit for the Springer Seesaw, which was authorised at the previous meeting, and the printing costs for Castlethorpe News, plus the usual standing direct debit. Any questions on any of those?
There wasn't going to be a bill for the seat, wasn't there? When a bloke slammed on my door, you know, I wake up 3 o'clock in the morning, 6:15 in the morning. The bloke nearly knocked the front door down. Delivered the seat. No, he delivered the wrong word.
They delivered the wrong seat on the wrong day to the wrong address.
No, they only got the address.
What the council involved in that?
Right, I need a proposer for the RFO schedule, which is Russell. I need a seconder, which is John, and all approved. Yeah, right, I'll sign this then. Yeah, second signature, please. Right, I don't believe any correspondence has been received, other than that which we dealt with in the open forum. Any other business for noting or including on a future agenda?
Firstly, the pads of the defibrillators go end of life May 23. So I'm going to give them a call quickly this week to work out how much new pads will be. It's one of the lights is flashing as well, so I think we need to speak to the owners of the casing themselves and see if we can get them out, just to give them a refresh.
Okay.
So I'll have that in preparation, because we're obviously it'd be financial spend to discuss in April and get those through. And then just I was picking up my daughter from nursery, and one of the ladies at nursery is training to be a one of the guides at Salsey Forest. But would like to use the wildlife area just to take the kids up and stuff like that. She was just wanting to see if there was anyone she could speak to, just to make sure that she
It's public open space.
No.
Actually, I'd be really pleased to see it used.
Okay.
I can't comment on that one then. obviously you know what the situation. Richard's going to do me a laminated piece of and stick it on the outside of the shop. What's it be? I won't be at the next meeting, obviously.
Yeah.
It's the day before.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, I can donate Susie in on that. And I mean, just so that people are aware, Pat's funeral is 4th of April, Tuesday, 4th of April. At 11 o'clock at the Castlethorpe Church. I know she was well known to a lot of residents.
Get your drinking boots on when you come in the village.
Any other business? Next meeting then is April the 3rd. So very good. I think we'll
Throw you all out,
we'll now close the public part of the meeting and we'll just discuss this one item. Thank you all for those of you who've been watching, and hopefully see you next month.